2021 fantasy football is on its way. This is the time of year we like to talk about our very favorite players at some of the key positions in the NFL. In this video, I am talking about wide receiver. There's so much passing in the league right now, so many good wideouts. So let's sort through some of the very best for you. And hello, I'm Chris. Thank you for watching. If this is the first video you're seeing on our channel, hope you like what you see. Love it if you'd subscribe. It might be right up there. I think it might be right up there. It's a little bell. If you click on subscribe, it really does help the channel. Thank you very much for that. I'm excited. Are you excited? Wide receiver? I mean, towards the end of the first round, you very well could be taking a wide receiver even in a standard fantasy league. So these top 7 guys that I'm going to count down, they're going to be very high draft picks, either late first or early to mid second in just about every single league. Number 1 on my list, maybe it's a little bit controversial. The Packers have been relatively controversial. I have Davante Adams, number 1. So obviously, lots and lots of question about Aaron Rodgers. Seems like he's in camp and everything's well. We never know if that's going to stay that way. I can't see into the future. If Rodgers winds up not playing for the Packers, Adams isn't number 1 on my list. I'm guessing they're still going to be together, and Adams isn't all that fast, and he's not all that quick, but the body control and coordination of hands and feet and torso and everything, you just don't see players who so consistently get open and win in traffic like Davante Adams. He's not really a downfield guy, and he's partially a slot guy, and I think you're going to hear people talk about 18 touchdowns and 25 red zone targets, how that's going to regress. I just don't think it's true. I guess in a world where everyone seems sure that Rodgers is going to be playing his last year with the Packers and is going to sink the whole thing, I'm a believer that there's a reason you throw 25 red zone targets to Davante Adams. He's an artisan. He's a maestro in tight quarters, and Rodgers loves throwing it to him. By the way, these film grades, if you're interested in grades for all players across all positions for fantasy, you can find them in my Harris Football Player Profile Almanac. Go to harrisfootball.com for all the details. Anyway, I'm completely in. I like Rodgers as a fantasy pick this year. I like Adams. I liked them both last year. You saw how that worked out. I like him again in 2021. But if you put Tyreek Hill as your number 1 wideout, I'm really not going to argue too strenuously. Hill isn't going to have the same number of catches as Adams. He probably won't get the same yards, but that's just because the Chiefs are smart and they know how to use him. Just as we say the words load management when it comes to running backs, a small, unbelievably quick and fast player like Hill doesn't need double-digit touches every week to kill an opponent. He's more a slot player than not, but the way the Chiefs use Hill out of the slot has really kind of revolutionized what it means to play out of the slot. Because he goes downfield on a lot of slot routes, which is not really the way football used to work. He's a nightmare in the screen game. He's a prototypical field stretcher. He's also potentially not a very good guy. And if, maybe there are a lot of guys we don't know are good guys, and if you're just not interested in rooting for him and having him in a league, I get it. But he should once again number among the very, very best for fantasy. At number 3, I have Stefon Diggs, and I can offer you a huge exhale when it comes to Diggs in year 6, which was last season, because for 5 years in Minnesota, I kept telling you how special I thought he was. And he never quite emerged, but he got to Buffalo exactly at the moment Josh Allen decided to level jump, and Diggs was right there. Diggs was my number 1 flag player in 2019. I had him everywhere in 2020. I'm not going to make a big production breaking down this whole play, but just watch with 30 seconds left in the game. The Cardinals know what's coming, and Diggs still gets open with quickness and grabs the late touchdown. His feet, his routes, they are fantastic. He's incredibly quick. He definitely does have some concentration drops, so I'm giving him a B grade for hands. He's a very difficult cover. Really came into the league being able to get open with routes and has the speed to make you pay after the catch. He's at least a second rounder, very early second rounder for fantasy leagues this year. He could squeak his way into the first. Hey, a quick break to say that if you've ever thought about upgrading your redraft league to a dynasty league that uses contracts, we have the place for you to do it, League Tycoon. On the podcast, you've probably heard me talk about my dynasty leagues that use contracts. Really, really fun. It is the next step in fantasy strategy, but it can also be a lot of work for a commissioner with a lot of spreadsheet work, keeping track of everyone's salaries and contract lengths and auction values, but not when you use League Tycoon. You'll never have to use a spreadsheet. Everything is built in. Everything is automated. Even if you've never had a league that uses contracts, you'll be up and running in minutes. There's a great website and a top-of-the-line mobile app to make being an owner and a commissioner much easier. If you've ever thought about taking that next step in a fantasy league, playing Dynasty, playing with player salaries, playing with contracts, check out LeagueTycoon.com right now. Dynasty has never been easier. LeagueTycoon.com. Okay, and one more quick thing before we get back to the list. Just subscribe. If you don't have to, but it would be lovely if you did. We'd really appreciate it if you click the little bell and subscribe to the channel. It's just a completely free way to you. Nothing happens on your end, but it helps us. It really does. So if you like the channel, it would be great if you would do that. All right, let's keep counting down. Number 4 on my list of the wide receivers in standard scoring this year, I have DeAndre Hopkins. It was a shocking trade that landed Hopkins in Arizona, as the Texans, for some reason, decided they didn't want to pay him, and the Cardinals did, and for at least 2 more years, he's going to be wrecking defenses with Kyler Murray. And is Murray the most accurate thrower? He is not. But Hopkins just might have the best hands in the entire league. Murray does inject some uncertainty. Great runner. Not yet consistent as a passer. I'm not crazy about the coach, but I am crazy about Hopkins. If you hesitate on Hopkins because you're not so sure about Cliff Kingsbury, yup. I kind of get it. I'm right there with you. I thought there were times last year when defenses played back and played zone, and the Cardinals could have feasted on shorter stuff to Hopkins and instead kept firing it downfield into the teeth of the defense, and it just didn't work that well. But it was still a 1,400-yard season for Hopkins. 6 touchdowns is probably just unlucky. He is great. At number 5, I really couldn't make a top 5 wideout list without DK Metcalf. And I got to be honest, if we wake up in January and he's the number 1, runaway style, I won't be shocked. He is so big and so insanely fast for his size. Such a game wrecker. I'm not listening to arguments that say the offensive line isn't good enough or they run too much. Russ will cook. Russ likes to throw it downfield. It'll be enough. Metcalf is a pure no-brainer second-round pick for fantasy. I admit, at least through 2 seasons, Metcalf hasn't really shown himself as a technician. He doesn't run subtle routes. He doesn't really get open with deception. He's a deep target, and he's a killer on crossing routes. And given what he's like when he gets the ball, that's okay. That's enough for me. Everything the world wanted Josh Gordon to be, DK Metcalf already is, and he could get even better. Okay, at number 6, I have Calvin Ridley. He was Fantasy's number 4 receiver last year. He's a good player. Julio Jones has left Atlanta. But I have to admit, I don't love it. There's really no wideout who I think I'm excited about at number 6. You're seeing good plays here from Ridley, and don't get me wrong, he made a lot of them in 2020, but he's certainly not the next Julio. He's just a different style of receiver. He's a slender guy. He'll go deep, but he doesn't have explosive speed. He doesn't have really a lot of box-out ability. When he wins, Ridley is something like Stefon Diggs. He's really good. You know I like that. And I need to keep telling myself, this dude has been in the league only 3 years. And with no Julio there, of course, there's room for him to have a huge workload. And that's why I do have him at number 6. But I think I could name about 10 other guys I might put in this spot and feel okay about it, which might mean when we get to this point in our drafts, maybe we are trying another position instead. When the main argument in favor of a player is who else is there, I do flinch a little bit. Okay, and last on this video, number 7 on my list. I know this is not a consensus opinion, but I have Mike Evans. I had him as wide receiver 9 going into last season. He finishes wide receiver 8. I just don't see any reason why I would change where I've been on him all these years. Do I understand Mike Evans has limitations? Surely. I will talk about them in a moment, but he is a monster big play and end zone artist. Sometimes I think NFL analysis boils down to looking at guys with big touchdown totals and assuming regression. But in Evans's case, why would he regress? He still has Tom Brady. This just in, still good. Tried to tell you last year. Evans is still 6'5" and 230 pounds. He still runs like a deer and jumps like something that jumps a lot. Since 2014, Mike Evans has 45 touchdown catches on passes thrown to the end zone, most of any human being on earth. He's the only receiver to finish top 8 in each of the last 3 years for fantasy. I will admit, the ride is often relatively up and down. Evans had 8 games last year with 50 receiving yards or fewer. And, that means depending on your roster construction, it's possible he's not the right guy for you. But combine him with some week-to-week consistent guys, and Mike Evans absolutely is a league winner, and I think I'm right on him, and the market will wind up being wrong. I like Chris Godwin too. I just like Evans a little bit more. And that's it. My top 7 receivers for standard fantasy scoring. You can find all of my ranks updated up till when you look at them right now at harrisfootball.com. Check out the almanac as well. We'd love to hear your comments. Where am I crazy? Go ahead. Tell us down in the comments. And one more time, please do subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button. Write a comment. Tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on. And of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button, and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.